Welcome to the Empowered Woman Web Show. I'm your host, Casey Lightbody, and today's guest is the gorgeous Leah Hynes, who, together with her business partner, Nazrin Murphie, started a business called Rock Your Purpose Live, otherwise known as RYPL for short, just 12 months ago, or just over 12 months ago. And in that space of time, what they've managed to achieve has been nothing short of extraordinary. These two amazing ladies have started a business. They've quit their jobs, both quit their jobs. They've traveled to the States 3 times and connected with the most amazing people. They've run multiple meetups and live workshops both here and in the States. They've actually grown the community from 36 people to over 8,000, and they've doubled their team members. It's just absolutely extraordinary. So without further ado, I can't wait to hear about Leah and her amazing journey. So I'm going to introduce you to the amazing Leah Hynes. Hi, Leah, and welcome.
Hi, thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you, Casey.
I'm so excited too. I can't wait to dive in and share your journey. It's just been amazing. So I'd like to start off with kind of casting your mind back to when you were still employed and why you actually chose to become an entrepreneur in the first place and what being a business owner actually means to you.
Wow, yeah, and I think back to when I was a full-time employee, it actually feels like a lifetime ago. So I really do have to cast my mind back. For me, I remember just, so I was working in PR, so in public relations, and I'd been doing that for more than 10 years. In the corporate world and in the government sector. I just remember, I guess it was must have been nearly 2 years ago now, I was sitting at my desk and I'm just like, it's another day at the office. It's, 10 a.m. and I've got my coffee, and that's like the highlight of my day has been gone now. I've got my coffee. And I just remember sitting there and staring out the window and just thinking, wow, is this really my life? Like, is this really it? And it kind of just hit me that I didn't want that to be my life. I didn't want the answer to be like, yes, this is it. This is all there is for you. This is your day job. And I couldn't articulate it at the time, but I just knew that wasn't it. I knew that there was more to life. I knew there was more out there for me. So I guess, taking the plunge to leave my job was one of the biggest, scariest decisions I have ever made, like ever made. And I remember, my husband dropping me off at work one morning when it got really bad, when I was just, taking phone calls and getting abused, by people yelling at me and trying to mop up messes left, right, and center. And he just said to me, look, if you want to quit, I fully support you. And that was kind of the final nudge I needed to make that decision. And it was the scariest conversation to have with my boss that I think I've almost ever had.
Yeah, it is. It's so scary. I completely resonate with that. It's kind of,
yeah.
So do you think there's a moment in time that you made that decision, or was it kind of a build up over a period of time and then just having your husband's kind of tick of approval, if you like, or his, agreeing with you to be able to leave that position was kind of what you needed to leave?
Well, that was definitely helpful. I think if he had have turned around and said, you know what, I don't think that's a good idea, then I'm not sure what would have happened. But, it really was a build up over time. The kind of aha moment, if you like, for me was not long after I had my son, who's now almost 3.5.
Yep.
And when I had him, suddenly my life was no longer just all about me. I had this other little person in my life, and I remember thinking that, like, yeah, anything's possible for my son, and I want to tell him, you can do whatever you want. But here I was, I'd been working in this job that was really like sucking the life out of me. So having him in my life really made me realize, like, I actually need to walk the talk here. I can't just talk about it. So, and at that time, I had no idea what my passion was. I thought I was one of these people who just didn't have a passion. But so I went on a real discovery for probably a good year or so to figure that out and to really go, like inside and ask myself lots of questions. What are my values? What are my strengths? And I think the thing that really got me in that time, like over that process, was there was a question in this course I was doing, which was like, at your funeral, what do you want people to say about you? And oh my goodness, like the floodgates open and I'm crying, like reading this thing out to my husband of, I wanted them to say. She really did work that mattered. She led like a big life full of meaning, and she really didn't just talk about it, she did it. And she used up all her potential. And so that was, one of those moments where I was just like, wow, this is really important.
Totally. I mean, my favorite is the song. It's one of Beyonce's songs, and it's leaving a footprint in the sands of time. And I just love that. That's
beautiful.
That's what we want to. That's, I think, what we all want to do.
Absolutely.
So I know a little bit about your journey, but you kind of you left your job, and in amongst all of this, you actually met up with Naz. So I'd love for our listeners to hear about, because I just think it's extraordinary how you two like-minded women manage to connect and how powerful you are as a team. So I'd love to hear about that.
You want the story. It's like we have this, it's like a marriage now. So I'm like, go back to when we first met. I think we met 2 years ago. I'm kind of losing track of time these days, but so I'd been on this journey, as I said, of like trying to, finding my passion. What is that thing that I really, love to do? And I hadn't quite got the answer. And so this other course opened up, which was all about, how to connect with people. Mm-hmm. And the big appeal for me with that course was that there was a ready-made community, and I was placed in a mastermind group. And so, which is basically when you get put in a group with like 4 or 5 other people and you work through the course together. And that was really appealing because I did not know anyone in Australia. I know that sounds crazy, but I really didn't know anyone who was thinking along the same lines of me, like who was having these questions, is there more? And had these thoughts, I want to leave my job. And so I joined this course and just happened to be put in a mastermind group with Naz and 2 other amazing Australian women. Mm-hmm. We hit it off straight away. We really connected. I realized that he was someone who really believed what I believed. And that, as you know, like is a super powerful thing. Mm-hmm. And so I remember we were so technically inept, we didn't even know how to do video. So we were just on audio. And so I hadn't even seen the woman. And then a week later, she says to me, hey, do you want to start a business together? And we had no idea, like, what was this business going to be? And we'd never even seen each other's faces. We knew each other for a week. And so I crazily, or luckily, said, yes, sure, why not? Let's do it. And so then we just started taking lots of little steps. It wasn't called RYPL back then. Mm-hmm. We had a few different iterations of what our business was called, but that was really like we started a blog and started writing random stuff that interested us and kind of just stumbling our way through it.
That's fantastic. It's an amazing story. I love hearing about that. I can hear about it over and over. I just think it's just amazing, what happens if you put yourself out there and who you actually get to connect with and make magic happen with, it's really amazing.
And the other cool thing to mention is that, like we don't live in the same city.
Yeah.
So, and to this day, we don't live in the same city. So it's a beautiful thing with, technology that she's in Sydney, I'm in Brisbane in Australia, and it doesn't matter. It works.
Yeah, absolutely. So you started your business, and as we all know, as entrepreneurs, it's no easy sailing, that's for sure. So in your journey along the way, what would you say has been your number one biggest challenge so far in terms of being an entrepreneur?
Oh my gosh, you want me to pick one?
I'd like it if possible.
Oh my goodness. So I mean, like, as you know, as you said, it's a roller coaster. And so I think the thing that popped straight into my head was really the business know-how. So, I've never run a business before. Yeah. I don't know how all that stuff works. And so it was just this massive, and continues to be quite a steep learning curve. So when I say business stuff, I mean, financials and marketing and, leading a team and managing my time and all this sort of stuff that was so foreign to me that suddenly, I had to be responsible for,
Yeah.
was just a huge challenge. And I believe the thing that really saved me personally was that I had a business partner. So
Awesome.
this stuff can be so hard, and I've really been into, down into the depths of like, this isn't going to work, and this is too damn hard, and I just want to go back to my day job and know that I'm going to, be getting this amount of money deposited into my bank account every week.
It's a security,
and really having that security. So having my business partner meant that fortunately we have our off days on different days usually. So when I'm just like, this is not possible, Naz is like, oh no, we're going well and let's keep going. So I imagine if I didn't have a business partner, I would have given up. Like if I didn't have that, and if I didn't have a support community, I have no doubt that I would have given up.
Okay, so
long ago.
That's so important. Yeah. So you in terms of overcoming those business challenges, or the running a business, if you like, challenges, what are the steps that you've taken over the course of the last 12 months to kind of overcome those challenges yourself? And I guess you are relying quite a bit on being able to bounce ideas off Naz too, which is fantastic, because at least with the two of you, you've probably got strengths and weaknesses in different places, so that offsets each other too.
Yeah, exactly right. Fortunately, and like we just got lucky, is that where I'm really strong, my strengths complement Naz. So where she's strong, I'm not. I can't do the stuff that she does. So that's definitely helped us as a unit to overcome that. But really, like when I get down and dirty about it, it's just we have like failed fast.
I love that, Leah. That's awesome.
So there's things that we've tried, and Naz has a great analogy, which is throwing spaghetti at the wall and just seeing what sticks. And so that has been how we've really run our business, is just asking questions, asking our community, what do you think about this? Would you like that? And really asking them about their frustrations. So that was in the early days a really big thing for us. It was just to fail fast at stuff. We had a conference planned for this year that was going to be like a 1,200 person, never before seen conference in Australia. And we just didn't have the take up that we would have liked. And that was really a really hard pill to swallow. But the important thing is that we did put it to one side. Like this isn't for right now, basically,
That you bring up a really good point, though, is that also it's really understanding what your community wants, really. So even though you're quite emotionally attached, it sounds like you weren't totally emotionally attached to that, and you were able to detach and say, well, actually our community may or may not be ready for this, but they may be in the future, but just not right now, which is really important to understand.
I think it is. It's so important to just stay open. Because like you say, what I want and what I think would be really cool, the thing that runs through my mind a lot is, build it and they will come. It's not always true. So we could build something and tell nobody, and then it's like, ta-da, but it's not what our community want or need. So that's been a huge learning for us, is to really be of service to our community. We ask lots of questions.
I love that. Yeah. Really understanding what they really need and being able to serve them. That's amazing. So talking about that, do you have is there a particular moment in time that that was a light bulb moment for you, that you were like, okay, I am doing what I was born to do. I am living my passion and my purpose right now, and what I'm doing is just amazing. Is there a specific moment in time that you could really feel that? Yeah,
there's definitely been a few of those moments. What's funny is that during our conversation, I've had one of those moments of being able to. So when you were introducing me, it's like, wow, I have achieved that. So that in itself is just, the moments where I stop and take stock and really appreciate how far we've come in a short space of time. So that's definitely one. But apart from that, I think, we're in Portland in the States this year for World Domination Summit, and which is, sounds like, you've never heard of it, you'll think, what on earth is that? It's just basically a community of people that come together and talk about this sort of stuff, really. And I remember at some point thinking through all of the people that I knew, and that I'd been meeting at World Domination Summit. And the year before, I knew Naz, and that was it. And now this year, I counted over 100 people who I knew and who was actually there and that I got to spend some time with. So that for me was like, wow, this is living, was the first thing. This is so much fun, and I get so energized from being around like-minded people. But that was definitely a huge moment of just, wow, this sense of aliveness is exactly what I was after, and that's what I felt in that moment during that conference.
And just connecting with this, with as you say, like-minded community and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, there's nothing like it. I mean, that for me is what it's all about, is being there for other people, contributing to other people, and really seeing the difference that made, because a lot of those people were clients, and seeing how they transformed over the period of time that we'd work with them is just so incredibly fulfilling. I cannot tell you.
I was going to say that, because you've been working with some people probably for the last 12 months, and just seeing that, I've personally seen working with you how transformational people have been, so it's just, that must be incredibly fulfilling.
Yeah, it really is, because what I now know is that simply by having powerful conversations and showing up in the way that we do in our business can enable so many other people to then go on and create their own ripple effect in the world. And so when we start to see that, I mean, wow, that, sometimes it can literally take a 5-minute conversation to move someone from a place of, maybe despair and just like can't do it to a place of possibility. And so the power of that is crazy, and seeing it in action is just, it's really phenomenal.
Incredible. Yeah. So when you look back and reflect over the last 12 months, because I mean, what I see is just incredible and absolutely amazing. But do you feel like you've made it, if you like? Do I feel like I've made it? No. I mean, I don't think I'll ever make it. And that for me is because it's always going to be a journey. Yeah. The one of the sayings that I say on a regular basis to myself in my own head is be where you are. So that really helps me to be present. And just to really appreciate where I am right now. So when I think, actually, I don't often think about, when I've made it, because I make it every single day. Yeah, that's amazing.
As long as I'm showing up, making a difference to at least one person a day, then I've made it every single day. So I want to go to bed every night and know that I've given my everything, so that if something was to happen, as morbid as it sounds, if I die, like I know that I really did give it my all that day.
That is amazing. Oh my goodness, I got goosebumps. That is just awesome. Love it. So where to from now? What's the vision with RYPL? Where are you going? Where are you taking it?
So it's a really exciting time in our business at the moment, because, as I said, we've been throwing spaghetti at the wall, seeing what's going to stick, and just really getting clear on who our community, who they are. And so the vision is that we are all about working with the people crazy enough to believe that they can change the world. And I know you're one of those people, Casey, which is why we love having you in our community. And so the vision is really looking at a longer term support system for our community. So that's going to be really, like, I know for me what works, just as an example, exercising. If I'm going to stay fit, I know that I need a structure to fulfill on that. And I need people around me to support me in achieving those goals, and when it goes all pear-shaped, to pick me up and dust me off, and when it goes well, to be like, woo, you're awesome. So RYPL is the same. It's really about how can we best serve our community to enable them to make that difference that they're out to make in the world. So the vision of RYPL is to really do more of that on a much bigger scale, and have our community playing bigger than they even think they can play right now. So that, in terms of practical sense, is through our group coaching programs. We're super excited. We're launching a retreat next year. So we're super excited for that. It's going to be an exotic location. And just really, supporting people at any stage in their journey, through our blog and our, we're going to have a podcast launching and all those sorts of things. And so yeah, the vision is really just continuing to talk to our community. How can we be of more service and add more value to you to make sure that you're, you know, really enabled to do that work that's so important to you?
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I've got to say that I just absolutely love your blog posts. They are just,
Thank you.
I look out for them every week and I'm like, oh, I love them. I absolutely love them. I learn something from them every single week. So they are amazing. So,
Thank you.
So, I'm moving on now a little bit away from RYPL and your journey, but really into women and entrepreneurship, because that's what Empowered Women is all about too. So do you have one particular woman, Leah, in your life, or someone famous, it can be anyone, that really inspires you, and why?
So definitely my mum. You know, she is just the most amazing woman, because I'm what am I now, 33, and when she was 33, I was her youngest, so she had 3 young children by that stage, and her and my dad had just moved to a third world country. So they'd gone from Melbourne in Australia, like big city, to a third world country in Papua New Guinea to live there for the next, what ended up being 7 years. And so, you know, I really get so much strength thinking of my mother and what she's achieved and how she supports me in what I'm doing in entrepreneurship. You know, it's not something that's was really available to her when she was my age, and yet she's just like, you know, my biggest supporter. So I'm so inspired by her as a woman, not in the entrepreneur, like, you know, world, but just as someone who, you know, has really been given lots of challenges and just been the most amazing mother and support to me. So she was the one that immediately sprung to mind, because, you know, I just see her as just this incredible strength, and that's where I've been able to really tap into my own personal strength.
That's amazing. And to go through the challenges of immigrating and you know, and all that kind of thing that they dealt with back then too, you know, with no phones probably and no internet back in the day.
No, oh my gosh,
and
no,
things like
exactly.
That. It's just like, how did they keep in touch with family and all that kind of stuff? So really amazing.
Yeah.
You know, what the barriers are for women in leadership in today's society.
Yeah, I mean, I think it continues to be a major challenge for women. And the person that I thought of was a prime minister that we had before our current one, and she was the first female prime minister. And I know that, you know, regardless of which side of politics you support, you know, she was faced with like incredible amount of additional challenges. And I believe that was because she is a woman and was someone who was, you know, really powerful and willing to stand up and, you know, take a stand for something. So I definitely see that there's an old way of thinking that I think my generation has an opportunity to really change and alter that, because it's inherited. It's not something that's of use anymore, in my opinion. So so I actually think that all of the challenges will only remain if we don't do something about it.
I totally agree. That's it, you know. As you say, I mean, Julia Gillard, like, she was really outspoken. She found a voice. She stood up. She was powerful, and she faced a lot of resistance as a result of it. I think because it's so unusual for women to be like that. You know, she was stepping out of the mold. So, I think actually, you know, like what you're doing as an example is so important, that we support each other in really like just being able to continue to stand firm in our leadership and to encourage more and more women to step into their own leadership, because I believe every woman has the capability to be a leader. So, you know, I don't apologize for my leadership anymore. You know, I used to be very like, oh, I won't be too, oh, was that a bit too powerful? Or, you know, so we as individuals can really make a difference by dropping that story, doing whatever we need to do to step away from that story that's of no use to ourselves or anyone, and to really step into it and own it. And if people have a problem with it, that's for them to deal with. That's actually not my problem. That's their problem. So if you have a problem with that, then
let me know when you've dealt with it, and then we can move forward.
That's fantastic. So Leah, with you personally, with your realization there, so you know, you're talking about finding your voice and actually not caring anymore, like realizing that was your story. When was that moment, and like how, and what were the kind of events that led up to that moment that you were like, okay, I've been quiet for too long. It's time to speak up. It's time to step up. My message is too important not to get into the world. Kind of, when was that moment for you?
Yeah. So I don't know that there was a particular moment as such. I always knew in the back of my mind that I was powerful. Well, not always, but certainly in my, you know, late 20s and early 30s. And so, you know, a big difference for me was having Naz as a business partner and having someone who really believed in me. Like, you know, aside from obviously family really believed in me, but I didn't believe in me. And so having someone that close to really work with and to get any coaching I needed to work through this old story that I was hanging on to was super powerful. And then, you know, just doing a lot of different self-development courses that have really pushed me outside of my comfort zone. And I guess there was a moment when I realized that there was a huge cost if I didn't step up and own my voice. And, you know, I remember being like in a group coaching call as one of the coaches, and just like on the inside having this complete meltdown because I had silenced myself during this particular call. And so that old story again was like right in my face. I'm like, what are you doing here? Like, this isn't of use to me. So, you know, I just really have worked on having self-compassion, that I'm a human being and that story is potentially going to pop up every now and then.
Yeah.
But I've been able to find powerful tools to deal with that, and one of those is coaching and, you know, self-development courses, and then just practice. Like I get up and speak. I notice those moments where I'm wanting to like go back into myself, and I notice that, and when I catch it, I do the opposite and I go forward and I speak. So it's the more that I do it, the more that I do it.
Yeah, so it's practice definitely. And so, so what was the cost at that time? Like, what did you feel was the massive cost if you didn't speak up?
Well, if I didn't speak up, then the ultimate cost was not just the impact on the people that I was wanting to serve, our community. That was a huge cost in itself. Yeah. But it was actually more for me to do with my son. So I believe that if I'm not self-expressed, then I'm teaching him how to be in the world at the moment, especially at his young age. So if mummy's like, you know, all concerned about what people think, then I'm actually teaching that to him. So that is not the legacy that I want to leave. That is not what I want to teach my son. I want him to be a self-expressed little person that he is right now and forever. So that's a huge cost for me, you know, is the thought that he may not believe that it's safe and okay to be who he is.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. That's just so powerful. These little people have an incredible effect on us.
They really do. And, you know, it's just, I love it because, you know, we go down to the park and he's screaming and jumping around, and I'm like,
they don't care, do they?
They really don't, you know, and at some point we start to tell them, like, be quiet, don't be so excited, you know, just keep it calm. And I even catch myself doing that now, but they are just a great demonstration of like just to let it all hang out and like who cares. So yeah, exactly. I learn so much from him every day.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I love that. Oh, this has been amazing, Leah. Thank you so much. So
You're welcome.
I'd like to wrap up with a favorite quote of yours. Have you got a favorite quote that you could let our listeners know about that you think is really going to impact them in their businesses or in their lives moving forward?
Yeah, look, the one that I love is a real classic, and it's a Nelson Mandela quote, which is, and that's perfect. You love that,
perfect.
Right? Perfect. I didn't even plan that. I just thought of it on the spot, which is, it always seems impossible until it's done.
Love that. I love that. And you girls are momentum, boy.
That's right. Just keep on going. Just keep on pushing. Keeping momentum. And, you know, it really does. There's so many examples in our history of it seeming impossible, and then someone does it achieves a goal, and then the next day there's 4 other people who have achieved that goal.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I completely subscribe to there is no impossible.
No impossible. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much, gorgeous lady. Now, where can our lovely listeners find you online? Because all of them have to follow you.
Yeah, we love to have your community and check us out. So we have a website, and it's rypl.net. So it's spelled RYPL.net. And then you can check out all the fun and goodness online.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I can't wait to send them there. I'll put all the links in the show notes and everything so people know where to find you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I've had a total blast.
It's been amazing.
Yay.
And we'll catch up with you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Casey.
Bye.
Bye.